What's up, guys? So we are here doing some post-commentary for this run of The Hobbit. The reason for this is because I was streaming at a time when I wasn't actually able to have my microphone on, so we have to do post-commentary. And because we're doing post-commentary, I'm going to do my best to actually explain everything that's going on, as well as like an overview of all the levels and stuff. So it should be starting soon. Let's get into this. This was a new personal best for me. It went really, really well. There are a couple mistakes which we'll go over when we get to them, but they aren't until a little later into the run. Starting things off, though, in the first world here, the Dream World, you'll notice that right off the bat, we are doing something called a slash boost. And basically what it is when you press B to use your slash, you gain a little bit of momentum forward. So if you press B and then A at the right time, you'll actually jump farther than if you were to just jump normally. And as you can see, we accidentally used our attack thing there. But as you just saw right there, we did something called a slope boost. And the slope boost, basically, if Bilbo slashes on, I think it's between like 1 and 3 frames, before he touches an upward slope, basically he just shoots right up the slope. And that's what we did on the first world to avoid having to defeat all those enemies and stuff. So we did that. We did that actually pretty successfully, even though we're over time at this point. We did that pretty successfully. It was first try. That was only because we got the we accidentally used our attack on the first thing there. So we didn't have the charge when we were going back up. So here, you'll notice right there, actually, that was very convenient timing, something called the long jump glitch happened. Basically what happens is, while you're long jumping, it stops you right in the middle of your long jump, and it's caused by the map trying to load things while you're in the middle of your long jump. This is the first real big skip, I suppose, in the game. Usually you have to go get a hammer, but we can just long jump right over here and just right onto the bridge. It's a little tricky until you get it down, but it's actually really simple afterwards. And that ends the first level. Because we're doing any, excuse me, because we're doing any percent, we don't have to go get a bunch of stuff that was there, which is going to lead us into Roast Mutton, the second level. Now, this is another level that goes very, very quickly. The first 4 levels are very quick levels. After that, it's kind of hit and miss when it comes to quickness. But in this level, we're doing pretty standard stuff. As you can see, we're continuing to do the slash boost. We do an altered long jump there in order to skip having to go all the way around and climbing up the rope. In order to do that one, it's easier if you have the camera pointed downwards, because the map doesn't have to load as many things if you do that. Now, this is the big skip in Roast Mutton. Right here, you do a slope boost, sorry, up that cliff there, and you can just come over here, and for some reason there's a loading zone here from, like, it's not a beta level or anything, but there's a loading zone here from what was probably in the beta. Like, that was behind pretty much the entire level, and it's just there. It's really weird. I don't understand why it's there, but it is. So it allows us to end the level really easily without having to actually go over to the trolls and stuff and do, the rest of the level. So that was a really successful level, and we're actually pretty much going to be doing the exact same thing here in Trollhole. What we do here is we do another slope boost, which is going to allow us to go out of bounds. And it's going to allow us to go backwards and trigger another loading zone that was left in the game that is going to allow us to just exit the level without having to go through the whole thing. So, again, this is a really, really quick level, which is going to lead us into Overhill and Underhill, which, of course, I messed up titling my split the first time, which is why I keep it as Overhill and Underhill. But this is really the first challenging level, I want to say. The first 4 are challenging because the slope boosts don't always work. It's possible to mess it up if your timing's off or something like that. So really that's just a practice thing, but Overhill and Underhill to me is the first is the first real challenging level in the run, in my opinion. And of course, you know, we're just doing optimized movement, which of course much better by world record holder. The world record for the game is 42:27, I believe. So that's a really good run too. If you guys haven't seen that one, it's done by iRule. Go check it out. It's really awesome. This spot right here, you can actually jump from the ledge on the left there to the ledge on the right. It saves about 2 seconds. But because I was doing pretty good on the run, I didn't really want to risk, you know, messing it up and ruining the run. So we just kind of did it the normal way and went around. But yes, overhill and underhill so far, going good. It's going good. We haven't really hit any mess ups. Right here, the reason we long jump to that platform over there and go around the tree is to prevent us from loading text box. When you load a text box, the rocks stop falling. So if you just skip that text box, you can get the rocks to fall a lot faster than if the text box were to appear. That's the only reason we do that, is to skip that text box. We almost fell there, as you probably saw. Usually it's better to use your long jump to go over that gap, but I usually just try and do a slash boost. And right here, after this loading zone, of course, this is where we're going to start coming into the more challenging part of the level. What we have to do is we have to collect a set of gears. We have to collect a set of gears, and there is a way to optimize this. I'm just not very good at it. There are a couple places where you can long jump that I can't do, one of which is coming up in just a second here. When we go to the left and we get this gear over here, you can actually long jump back to the platform we just landed on there, but I'm not very good at it because I'd have to waste time turning the camera, and I would rather just, you know, jump back to the platform, one platform at a time, because then I'm not wasting time. Hopefully eventually I can actually learn how to, you know, do it. And right here, normally you would do a long jump up to that platform up there, but there's actually a really good chance that you'll miss or you'll get the long jump glitch. So to be safe for this run, I just went around. Had I gone forward, it probably would have saved 4 seconds had I gotten it. But we just chose to, you know, go around, play it safe for the sake of the run. And coming up right here is the biggest trick for this level, at least. This is the biggest trick for the level. Going over to the left here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go up to the top of these stairs here, and we're going to perform a long jump over here to this platform. It saves a lot of time, opposed to having to go all the way around. And of course, we are going to do a safety save here because we're about to do the hardest trick in the level. And I wasn't really confident with it at the time, so we made a safety save. And what we're going to do is, by coming to this platform down here with a really precise long jump, you can actually jump to this platform over here, which prevents you from having to collect another 2 sets of gears. So that saves a lot of time, obviously, but it is really tricky. It's a really precise jump. But once you get it down, it's actually fairly easy to pull off consistently. You just have to know the right angle to jump at. And with that, we're getting pretty close to the end of the level here. There's one more skip that we do in order to skip a boss fight. I guess it's a boss fight. You could call it a boss fight. But we do a skip here just in order to skip having to do a boss fight, because the boss fight would take up a lot of time, obviously. So what we do is we just jump to the landing over here, and we're going to pull off a slope boost, and we're just going to boost up this wall here and activate Thorin's text box. And because we activate the text box, it puts us up on the platform instead of back down to the bottom. And that ends Overhill and Underhill. That puts us into Riddles in the Dark, and this Riddles in the Dark probably has one of my favorite skips in the entire game. It prevents us from having to do practically the entire level, which is really awesome. So you'll see that when we get up to there. But as far as Riddles in the Dark is concerned overall, it was pretty good. We did really well on it, all considering. I still find it hilarious that the text box for using Sting comes up, even though I'm using the walking stick. But yeah, as far as Riddles in the Dark is concerned, all this part right here is just optimized movements. I could probably do better. Unfortunately, we got hit by the long jump glitch there, as you saw. And we just dropped down on the right side here to hit the slope instead of wasting time going down the spider web over there, the little vine spider web thing. And with that, we are just, you know, slowly making our way forward. And when I say slowly, I mean quickly, because, you know, this is a speed run, right? So probably don't want to slowly make our way forward. But I digress. I'm just talking about random stuff now. I'm waiting until we get up to the skip. It's coming up soon. It's coming up really soon. We just have to come over here. Unfortunately, I missed hitting that rock. If you hit that rock, you can long jump again. But right here is where the skip's going to come up. If we just long jump off the edge here, saves us from having to walk down. We long jump into this corner, and it actually causes us to clip out of bounds. Now, you have to be really careful here not to move before you set your rock, and you just jump over to the side. If you move before you set up the rock, or if you move too far to the left, you'll actually clip out of the wall, and you'll have to set it up again. So you have to be really careful with it. But once you get it, we just skipped practically the entire level. The only thing we need to do now is go into a minecart, hit some switches, and then go get the ring. So this was a really good level. I believe this is the fastest I've done the level. We'll find out when we finish Riddles in the Dark, but I'm fairly certain this is the fastest I've done the level. And lucky for me, you know, I'm notorious for accidentally not hitting switches. So lucky for me, we actually hit all the switches and got this on the first cycle. Because had we messed up a first cycle, it would have wasted a lot of time. But thankfully, we successfully got it. And all that leaves is for us to come down into Gollum's cave and get the ring. And this is the last trick of the level here. It's just a little time saver. All we do is, instead of going up a set of stones over there, we just set up a slope boost. Or not a slope boost, sorry. We just long jump up the hill there, because at a certain angle you can actually get up just using a long jump. And it prevents us from having to jump up a couple stones there. It just saves a little bit of time. It's a little bit of a time saver. But that ends Riddles in the Dark, and we go on to flies and spiders. And this, I believe this level went pretty well. We got everything pretty much first try, with I think the exception of the slope boost right here at the beginning. This slope boost, basically if you mess it up once or twice, it's faster to just go the normal way. But I believe we get it on the second try. We'll see here in just a sec. There we go. If you do this slope boost, it puts you out of bounds, and you can just avoid pretty much a bunch of stuff. And of course, I kept going to the left there for some reason. I wasted a couple seconds by running into an invisible wall. So that was completely my fault. But you come out of bounds, and when you come up to this hill over here on the left, you just want to long jump over and jump slash so that you go up the hill. Now, you don't have to jump slash if your long jump is precise enough, but it's beneficial. And once again, we need to do a long jump to get up this hill here, which we got on the third try. That one went pretty well, I'd have to say. We did really well on that one. But once again, this is going to take us out of bounds. We skip having to go talk to a guy, which starts a quest line. Luckily, we don't have to do that in any percent. But we can just go out of bounds, as you saw, and then we're here on this part of the stage. Which, once again, after we get through this tunnel here, once again, we're going to go out of bounds in order to skip having to do a boss. Normally, there is a spider boss in this level. I mean, not the spider boss. There's a smaller spider boss in this level that if you don't clip out of bounds here and do this long jump slash to this platform over here, you would normally have to fight. It's like a mini boss. So now that we did that, once again, we're going to go out of bounds in order to avoid another boss battle in this level. And this one's a bit more tricky because you actually have to go very, very close to the boss zone in order to load the next area of the stage. So because of that, there's a really big potential that you can actually fall into the boss room. But luckily that doesn't happen. And I believe we get it on the first try. It goes fairly quickly. Yeah, as you can see in the back there, the map loaded. And it allows us to continue on with the rest of the level. And there's only one more big trick in the level, and that is skipping the final boss of the level. We skip everything in this level. This is a very short level because of that. But we skip the final boss in the level, which is actually a really long fight with a bunch of spiders in order to rescue the dwarves. And this is actually a really, really cool skip. There is a more optimized way to do this. There's a better way to do it. However, I'm not very comfortable with it, so I do the old way where you have to set it up. But once we climb this vine, we'll be down there so that you can see it. Of course, you know, we're just talking ahead because that's the best thing to do. But overall, Flies and Spiders went really, really well in this run. As you can see, we're at like 15 minutes, 35 seconds right now. And my personal best for Flies and Spiders was 21:32 in my personal best. So right here is where we're going to do it. Once again, we have to do a slope boost to go out of bounds. There we go. And then once we get the slope boost, we have to come up this hill over here. And we're going to do a long jump. That is going to allow us to get up onto this hill here. And after doing that, we're going to do another long jump to get up onto this hill here. And now that we're on this hill, we can set up for the skip. Basically, we clipped out of bounds. Once again, we are hitting a loading zone that completely skips the rest of the level. Now, I'm not quite sure why this one's still here, because the final boss for this level is actually in a different room. Like, it's in a different loaded room of the game. So I have no idea why... this loading zone even exists, and if it does exist, why it skips that entire boss battle. But I'm not complaining. I'm rather glad for that, to be completely honest. But with that, we finished Flies and Spiders, and we're heading into Barrels Out of Bond. Now, this level is not at all different when it comes to all quests. All quests at any % is basically the same thing for this level, because you still have to do every quest in this level in order to get the level complete. I'm just going off topic there. As you saw a little previously, I apologize for that. We had to do a long jump over the river, and we had to put the ring on to prevent from being seen, and then once we're over there, we were just able to jump over the fence with some precise movements. And we grabbed one of the crystal keys that were up there on the ledge, which now we can go into the main room. And with that, we have to start collecting. Sorry, we have to start collecting the 3 red crystals, which are going to allow us to do a block puzzle. Now, the problem with Barrels Out of Bond is that there's a bunch of elves around. If you get seen by an elf or you run into an elf while you have the ring on, you get caught. So if you get caught while trying to go through the level and you don't save anywhere, you'll get reset back to the beginning of the level. And the elves don't reset their position, so it's not likely you'll have the same cycle if you mess something up. So with that, we get to go to the very slow part, that is the block moving challenge. Basically, we just have to put a bunch of blocks into their correct spaces. So it's a very, very, slow part of the level. Probably the slowest part of the level, but not the slowest part of the game. There is a part later on where we have to sit and wait for about a minute and a half, probably 2 minutes. Something close to that. But we're almost done the block puzzle here, and we will get to continue on with the level. Now, a lot of this level is optimized movements. But there is one really big skip later on that doesn't necessarily skip anything in the level. It just prevents us from having to do a really annoying room. So that's always nice. So I guess you could say it skips the room. And of course, we have the elves down here talking about the guards catching the dwarves. That's always nice. Also, this level has a lot of loading zones. If you haven't noticed already, there have been a lot of loading zones. And there's even more to come. But with that, we are down here, and this is where we are going to encounter the dwarves for the first time. and also avoid that elf that was glitching out on the column there. We're going to encounter the dwarves after they were captured by the elves, obviously. This is the first time we have to come back to them. We have to do a lot of really tricky movement around here in order to avoid that elf, just depending on where he's standing at the time. But now that we've done this, we have to obviously go find a way to get the elves out of the kingdom. The elf kingdom. So we have to come down this way, and basically the premise of the level is we have to go collect a bunch of stuff in order to poison this guy's drinking cup so that we can, you know, knock him out and advance. So we have to come back up after discovering where the cup is, or after discovering where the barrels are. I just can't speak, apparently. We have to come back to the dwarves to tell them about the way to escape. And once we talk to them again, which I missed, unfortunately, we come into some cutscenes here where we now have to come up to one of the more tricky rooms in the game, I would say, the spider room. The spider room is very, very annoying. And this is actually where we mess up in the run. Not with the spider room, but in just a second when this loading zone decides to stop loading. There we go. At the top of this hill here, there is a vine. There's a vine that you have to grab onto, and we do grab onto it, but I unfortunately didn't wait long enough for it to drop down. So because of that, unfortunately, we're going to, you know, run into some trouble later on. And as you saw, I missed that jump there. So we had to come back around in order to come back up. That was also a really bad time loss that could have been avoided. But we made it this time. We grab our second key and we head into the spider room. This is one of the more tricky rooms in the level because there's spiders and the spiders can poison you. And of course, we have no healing potions. We pick up another key. And we have to destroy these webs over here, quickly put the ring back on, and escape. Now, I hate this room, mainly because I am not a fan of spiders, and because whoever programmed the spiders in this game did a really, really good job of giving them really awkward movements. It's really creepy. But since we successfully did the spider room, now that we come back, you can see that that vine up there hasn't fallen, and even though we try to long jump to it, we miss. We miss the vine, and because of this, unfortunately, we have to go all the way around, and we have to go back in through the front door of the kingdom here, and we have to go all the way back through. So because of that, you know, we're gonna get to hear a lot of text and stuff again. So that's fun. Back in the throne room. Overall, other than the unfortunate mishap that we just encountered, barrels out of bomb went pretty well. A lot faster than most of my other times, where in this particular personal best, at least the current score that I'm running off of, we forgot to get the key in the spider room. We forgot to get the crystal in there, and we didn't realize until about 2 minutes later, so that wasted about 3 minutes total for me. But now that we're pretty much back, unfortunately, we have to wait through this loading zone again. But now that we're back down here, we have to go all the way back over to the other side, where if we didn't mess up that vine, we would have already been on the other side there when we came back in. But we have to go all the way around, and we have to go put all of the herbs and stuff into Galleon's cup so that we can knock him out and free the dwarves. So that is coming up fairly quickly, and if I'm correct, I'm pretty sure I save here as a safety save, because coming up next is both the first example of a clip warp, or a void warp. It's kind of both. It's the first example of a warp that we're doing. Also, it's not always consistent for me, so I like doing a safety save just to make sure. But we're doing a void warp pretty much, and the way we're doing that is, as you will see when we come up here, we aren't going to go up the ladder right away. We're going to come over here to a little cage that's in the wall here, and we're going to stand here for a sec. Now, what we did by standing there is we created a save point. The save point is the game reading the last place that Bilbo was standing, and so long as we continue to jump, the game won't reset our save point. So long as we're jumping, it's considered unsafe. So long as we aren't on the ground for 1.7 seconds, I believe, it's around 50 frames, then we're okay. And the challenging part is that we had to get through that cutscene there while still holding the warp. Now, once we're down here, what we're going to do is we're going to come to the right here, and we're going to hang on to some vines. And what this is going to do, you go onto the vines, and then you hold down L, A, B, and down. And as you just saw, we warped into like an out-of-bounds zone. Now, what happened is because our save point was set, what we did is we used our save point to bring Bilbo back up to that point. And because the room was no longer loaded, because we came into a new area, the game was like, there's nothing here, so it just kind of dropped us through the floor. Now, there is a better way to do that. You can actually skip that cutscene that shows up at the beginning, because you can't skip that cutscene if you want to live, basically. But there's a way to skip the cutscene, which saves about 7 seconds. But for the sake of the run, I just decided to do it the safe way, also because I'm not very consistent at the other way. Also, I realized that really wasn't a great example of a void warp because I'm just bad at explaining things. But with that, we're going to save Thorin, and this is going to end the level. We just have to come up here and hit the switch for the barrels to go, and that ends Barrels Out of Bonds. So in total, it was a really good level. We got the void warp on the first try, and unfortunately, we messed up the vine after the spider room there. But other than that, we did really, really good. Which is going to lead us into a warm welcome. A warm welcome is considered by a lot of people to be the hardest level of the game. And I'm one of those people. I would agree that, for me at least, a warm welcome is a really challenging level because there are so many precise tricks that you have to do that save a lot of time. It skips a lot of the level, but they're really tricky to pull off. So, first things first, we have to come up here and we have to talk to the master in order to initiate the thief quest. And what the thief quest is not talking to a Lake Town soldier. I think in this run we talk to a lot of people, which is really unfortunate because talking to them slows things down. But what we're going to do is we're going to set up another save point. If we come over here, we just have to stand for 1.7 seconds. We can set our point, and then so long as we don't hit the ground for 1.7 seconds, 50 frames, whatever. So long as we don't hit the ground for the 50 frames, our point back there is going to be stored by the game, thinking that that's the last place we stood. So because of this, when we come over here, we're going to initiate something called a clip warp. And after we activate the thief quest here, usually you have to follow the thief around over to the warehouse. But if we just jump off to the side here, once this text box disappears, we can clip through this wall here. Basically, you clip through the texture, and because we had a save point, we warp back to the warehouse where our save point was. And the way that works is that the game thinks that you're stuck or you're out of bounds, so it takes you back to the last place that you were successfully placed on the map. And in our case, that was back where the quest actually ends. Now, the reason we did that quest first, you might have noticed that it didn't actually end the quest when we got there. The reason for that is because we're going to try and save some time here. And by doing that, as you saw, we did another safety save. And the reason for that is because this is probably one of the hardest tricks in the game. Like, it's really up there for one of the hardest tricks in the game. You have to clip back through this door, and you have to do a long jump across this barren map place, and you have to hit this save state at a precise frame. Now, unfortunately, as you're about to see, if you look up in the top left corner, you'll see that our health is already gone by the time that the save ends. The reason that happened is because we hit the save point, or we hit the ground before we hit the save. And, of course, that killed us. Had we continued on with that run, when we loaded the game again, we already would have had all of our health gone. We already would have been dead, which doesn't help us because having a zombie Bilbo running around doesn't help at all. So because of this, we have to try again. We have to load our previous state, but unfortunately, because we failed it the first time, we have to kill ourselves once, or there's a chance that the thief is going to catch us. Back when we did the thief quest there, if you remember, normally you're supposed to follow him until he gets to the warehouse, but we were trying to save time by doing this while we waited for him to walk. Except the problem is that when you activate that clip warp, his character actually disappears. The character itself disappears and you can't see it. So the problem is that if you don't kill yourself after failing the save jump here, then there's a potential that he can catch you. So killing yourself saves you some time. You can try once or twice. Now, if you saw there that time, looking up at the top left, you saw that after the save, our health drained. That means we still had health left. And as you can see, we are alive. Now, this is another challenging part. Since we did that jump, we have to keep our safe spot, which the last one we had was up at the beginning of the level there. And we're doing a clip warp here after getting the black arrow in order to warp back up to the beginning of the stage. Now, this saves a lot of time because it saves us from having to collect all the wine bottles that would normally get you down to where the black arrow is. I believe that's the right part. I could be wrong. I haven't done the wine bottle thing in a really long time. But now that we have the black arrow, we're going to come back here and we're going to end the thief quest. But unfortunately, since we messed up, we have to wait a little bit. Had we not messed that up, we actually could have gotten this complete right when we got back here. But because we messed up, we unfortunately have to wait a little bit. And then the level will... Not the level will end. The quest will end right there, as you see. And of course, this is going to bring us back to Bard. And now we have to go back to the warehouse, because that's just the next part of the stage. And once again, we are going to be setting up a void warp spot here. We're going to be setting up a safe spot so that we can warp back here in just a second. Now, we set our safe spot here, and then we go to enter the warehouse. And normally when you go into this warehouse, you get ambushed by some guys, but you can actually exit the warehouse and still activate the cutscene that would normally be inside the warehouse. And because of this, you just skip everything inside the warehouse, and you come back out, and Bard's like, oh, hey, you did what you were supposed to do in the warehouse. So once again, because we have a safe spot, we have to continue our jump throughout all these cutscenes and talking to people. And we have to come in here and talk to this guy in order to start the next part of the quest. But now that we've done this, we can just clip on this texture over here, and this is going to warp us back to the warehouse that we were at before, where we set our safe spot. And because of this, it saves us a lot of walking time, so we don't have to walk all the way back to... we don't have to walk all the way back over here to the warehouse. And right here, I chose not to do the boat jump. You can actually do a long jump from the other side of the dock to that boat that you saw on the left there, but it has a really good potential for getting hit by the long jump glitch, and it can completely kill a run. And since the run was going really well, I chose not to do it. Now, once again, you saw us stand still there for a second. We set up a safe point once again, and we're coming inside of this room. A lot of people consider this to be a really challenging part of the level, but luckily for us, we actually managed to get this section here on the first try. It's really easy to get poisoned down there, but so long as you know the whole 50 frame thing, you should be okay. But obviously throughout this entire section, we have to keep our safe spot outside. So we have to continue to jump so that we don't end up resetting our save point. And we have to do all this stuff in here. We have to activate this cutscene. And then once again, we're going to do another clip warp that's going to clip us back outside. So it A, saves us from having to walk back, and B, saves us from having to do something else that I completely forgot what I was saying. It saves us from having to walk back outside. But unfortunately, we didn't set the save point properly, so it loaded us back down there to where we talked to the guy. And now that we've done all this, since we already had the black arrow, we can just talk to Bard after that quest, and it will end the level. And that's Warm Welcome. Warm Welcome actually went really, really well in this run. Unfortunately, it was 1 minute and 4 seconds worse. The reason for that is because we messed up the save jump down to get the black arrow, and we had to kill ourselves in order to make sure the thief didn't catch us. But that's going to lead us to inside information. This is a really, really tricky level. Well, it's not too tricky. It's tricky in the sense that you have to be really, really careful. If you stand on the gold for too long, Smaug will wake up and basically toast you. So you have to be really careful not to make too much noise. You have to make sure not to walk on the gold, and most importantly, you have to make sure not to run into Smaug. But we just do some jumping around here to go get the cup of Thror, and now we just have to go back out in order to give it to Thorin. And after this, you know, Smaug's gonna wake up, and that's when things get really intense. Unfortunately, we hit the save state there. Didn't intentionally mean to do that by any means. But now that we've given Thorin the Cup of Thror, we can head back in here, and now Smaug's gonna be awake. Smaug is gonna be awake this time. And I completely lost what I was saying. That's okay, though. Because Smaug's awake, we have to put the ring on. And we're going to do some tricky jumping over here. Trying not to hit his wing. And trying not to stay on the gold for too long, obviously. We're just going to jump over here to the side here. And we're going to take the ring off. We're going to wait a sec to give some charge back to the ring so that it doesn't go off when we get caught. Because you can get caught while you're up on these sections. And all we have to do is we just have to go onto these platforms and climb up these chains here in order to get to this higher hanging chandelier kind of thing. And all we have to do is collect all of these courage points over here, and that's going to end this section of the level. Now that this section's done, we have to go on with the last part here, and well, the last part of Smaug at least. And we do a safety save here just in case, because you have to be really careful with this part. When Smaug stops breathing fire, it is not safe for you to go. There's invisible fire. So you have to be really careful about when you come out of your hiding spots, because you can get wrecked pretty easily. But we do really well. We time everything pretty well. And then we just long jump off to the right here, and that's going to end this section of the stage. Now you have to be really careful. If you aren't careful with that part of the stage, doing that skip there, you can actually get killed before the cutscene activates, and you'll have to start back to wherever the last part you saved was. So if that's the beginning of the level, that's really unfortunate. Now this part here is really tricky. When I say tricky, I mean like it's a tricky skip, because it's a clever skip. It's a clever tricky skip. It's really weird. For some reason, the way this game works is that if obviously, Bilbo is a hobbit, can't swim. So if you fall in water, you die. But for some reason, if you jump into water at a specific spot, like if it's a certain height, you take no damage. So we took no damage from just jumping from the top of the entire section there right down to the bottom. How does that work? Don't ask me. I have no clue. How that works, but it works. So thanks to the QA testers for not realizing something like that, I guess. I guess Bilbo's just a super hobbit when it comes down to it. But now that we've done that, we have to do these block puzzles. Basically, we have to cover all these holes with blocks so that when the water rises, it's you know, doesn't go down the hole, because, you know, a hole in a mountain that obviously leads right below it back into the water, you know, that just makes sense. But we were very close to falling right there because we hit the side, so luckily we didn't fall. But yeah, this section is just scaling up the mountain, getting back up to the top after, you know, raising the water levels. The reason we're raising the water levels is because there's a door around here somewhere. That door over there on the left corner there, just above where our staff meter is. Basically, we're going to have to wait on that for about a minute and a half. And this is a really good point to reflect on, you know, the run, because you have to wait for so long. So you can look back, see what went well, see what went bad. But it's a really, really good part to reflect. And, you know, in classic Hobbit style, AJ is the first one that did this, but in classic Hobbit style, because we have to wait for so long, we're going to play some elevator music, which should start in a second. I started eventually. But we're going to play some elevator music, which unfortunately you may or may not be able to hear, because when I uploaded the highlight from Twitch onto YouTube, I got hit with a copyright claim for the song, which I should have thought of, but I didn't. The elevator music is copywritten, apparently. So hopefully you guys can still hear it. If not, I may have to take it out and re-upload. But hopefully you can hear it, because I really want you guys to hear the elevator music. It adds to the experience of The Hobbit. So just for that reason, I am going to let you guys enjoy the elevator music while we do this climb, because all we have to do on this climb is wait. We just wait and we reflect on the run. So I'm going to let you guys enjoy this elevator music that's hopefully here. And if not, then enjoy your silence. I hope you enjoy your silence. But we'll be back when we get back to the top, and we will continue discussing the run. For now, though, watch Bilbo spin in all of his spinning glory. Alrighty, elevator music over. It's a really short section, but you still have to wait for about a minute and a half for that to work out. And getting up here is going to end the level. So just as soon as we head up these stairs here, this is going to end Inside Information. Inside Information went really, really well, which leads us on to Gathering. Gathering has another one of the hardest skips in the entire game. The reason for that is because it's a lot of really, really precise jumping. It's a lot of really precise jumps that are really obnoxious to pull off. But you know, luckily today we were on our A game, and you're gonna see it right here as we go up. Basically, what you have to do is you have to go up these stairs here, and you have to do a slash boost in order to get up to this statue over here. Now, the problem with this statue is getting on its head. You have to get on the statue's head in order to jump up to the pillar on the left there. Luckily, we get up on the head really, really quickly. It's a lot quicker than usual. And we just have to jump onto the pillar here, and we have to be really careful while we do a long jump to this platform over here. And now that we're here, we have to do a slope boost up onto this section, and then long jump backwards to hit this vine. It's not a vine, it's a chain. To hit this chain. It's a really, really precise set of jumps that... It blew my mind when I got this on the first try, because I've had a lot of really good runs that die on Gathering of the Clouds because of that skip right there. I'm really not good at it, and it blew my mind when we got it first try. So we're going to do a safety save here, because we're going to do something called the early Arkenstone skip, and the way we're doing that is usually... There's a lot that you have to do in this level. This is a really, really long level. But with the Durin statue skip there at the beginning and the Arkenstone skip that we're about to do, this level gets reduced to about, like, a minute and a half. Not actually. It's like 2 minutes, probably. It's like a 2-minute level now. But what we're going to do is we are going to set a save point over here by this wall. Now, this save point is going to allow us to warp back here with a deloaded area, like we have in pretty much every other time that we used a save point. So because of that, we are setting our save point, and we're going to head back over to the other room that we were just in where we saved. Now, of course, because we set a save point and we want our save point to stay there, we have to continue jumping and make sure we don't hit the ground for 50 frames or more. Now, when we come over here, we're going to jump onto this onto this chain over here, but because we jumped at it at the right spot, we can actually get clipped on this chain. Now, I was trying to do a trick there that unfortunately I messed up. I didn't time it properly, so it wasted a little bit of time. But now that we've clipped through, all we have to do is slash down right at the top, and we can clip into the Arkenstone room and grab the Arkenstone and end the level. And yeah, we did a really fast gathering there. We saved about 2 minutes 32 seconds from our best for it. Our time was 2:50, so it's about a 3-minute level in any percent. because of those 2 skips. But again, I'm really bad at the Durin statue skip. I'm actually really surprised that I managed to get that first try during this run. And of course, this is going to lead us into Cloud's Burst, the final level of the game. We have a really, really good time up to this point, too. It's really incredible. First things first skip of the level, we are going to clip out of bounds here by doing a slash boost and then a slope boost up this little cliffside here. And it's going to allow us to go out of bounds and over to the next area. Now, the next area is probably the hardest area of the game because we have to, for the first time in this run, actually do a battle. Yeah, we have to do a battle. So we set a save point so that we can clip back up there afterwards. But this is really tricky because not only do we have to get through that cutscene, but we have to do this entire battle while maintaining our save point. So we have to continue jumping throughout this entire battle in order to successfully keep the clip warp going. And you have to be careful with your health. You want to make sure you don't die. So watch your health. And once we do this, after you kill everyone, you actually have to get through another 4 cutscenes. So you have to mash that start button to get through all those cutscenes and make sure that you don't lose your safe spot. And then we come over to this ladder. We do the same thing that we did in Barrels Out of Bond, where you hold A, B, and down. And you're just going to clip back up to your safe point. And the only reason we have to go down there and do that battle is because this area over here isn't loaded. We have to load the area in order to continue. That's the only reason you go down there to do that battle. So, unfortunately, if there was a better way to do it, it would be done. But you have to go down there, do the battle in order to load the next zone, which we are now in. And the clip warp actually went pretty good. It could have been a little better. It's kind of trolled me a little by not working on the first try. But everything worked out okay. Now, this is the one part of the level that I have no idea what happened, but we just did really, really bad on it. Normally what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to do a slash boost and then a slope boost to get up to this barrel here. You can also long jump off the left wheel in order to go up and hit it as well. But again, they're really precise angles, and we mess it up a lot. We wasted a lot of time here by messing that up. But we do get it on this try, I believe. Yeah, we get it on that try. Left Wheel Strats for the win. And then we can continue on over here. Now, we're getting really close to the end of the run here. We're getting really close to the end of the level. We have to make sure we don't die by all these goblins that are trying to kill us. And, yeah, I mean, that's really it. There's only really one more big trick in the level, and that's to skip. That's basically to skip the entire final battle. I mean, the final battle is just pushing a bunch of barrels over, but we do a skip in order to skip that instead of having to do it, because normally there's 3 barrels you have to hit, but we skip it so that you only have to do 1. Now, coming over here, once we turn this right corner here, you're going to want to put your ring on so that the goblins up at the top of the chain don't see you. It's very helpful so you don't die. And then you're just going to throw a rock to the barrel way off in the distance there. Unfortunately, I didn't have my rocks out, and I kind of messed that part up. But after we hit that and we get Bjorn out, we just come up onto all this rubble here, and we can do a precise jump over onto the ledge here, and once again we can go out of bounds, and this is how we're going to skip doing the final battle there. Once it loads. I'm waiting for that loading zone. There we go. Now that it's loaded, we are in the final room, or final area of the game. We have to actually go around a bit, because if you go too close to the ledge, you can actually load the cutscene, and you'll end up back down at the bottom there. But since we ended up staying out, all we have to do is come up onto this little contraption over here. We clip out of bounds once again, and then we just come around and we hit this barrel, which ends the run. Now, unfortunately, I hit my timer a little late, so me and the other Hobbit runners, you know, we came to the conclusion that the run was actually 48 minutes, 41 seconds, not 43. That was just because of a late hit on the thing. So with that, the run ended at 48:41, which is really, really awesome. It was a really good run. It beat my personal best, and it beat my goal to get sub 50. Because we have sub 50, I'm probably going to move on to learning all quests now, because a lot of people in the Hobbit community are starting to learn all quests so that we can make it a really solid route. With that, though, I mean, that's really it for me, guys. I really, really appreciate, you know, if you watch through the whole run. It's really awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a really solid run on my part. Obviously, it could be better. Had we not messed up barrels out of Bond, and had we not messed up that part in Cloud's Burst a little earlier, then we could have done really, really well. Well, better than we did. I mean, we still did really, really well, but we could have done a little bit better than we had. But with that, guys, that's where I'm going to end things off. I really appreciate you guys watching the run. If you... Excuse me. That was my fault. I didn't mean to cut off there. If you guys enjoyed the run, you know, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more, you can follow me at Black Chaos 322 on Twitch. I'm probably going to be learning all quests soon, so there will probably be some all quest runs going on at some point. So, that's really it for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed the run. I really mean that. But for now, I guess this is VGA322 signing out. Until next time, peace.
Had a new chance to unite against future dangers. Bilbo bade farewell to his friends, took only 2 small chests of gold, and began his journey home. He had many hardships and adventures before he got back, but that's another story.